This is Olga Kirshenbaum with 9 Minutes of Creative Wisdom podcast, where creative business owners share their wisdom. It is 6 questions in 9 minutes because creatives have a short attention span. So let's get to it. In a few sentences, tell me who you are and what you do.
Romanella, 36-year UPS career. Did some very non-traditional things inside UPS. We had a series of acquisitions, which I had the opportunity to integrate. Probably one of the most proud is we purchased mailboxes, et cetera, and rebranded it to what is today the UPS store. So the largest rebranding in franchise history. Retired from UPS, took on a role as a CEO of a telecom company. We built cell towers, upgraded cell towers, had to sell there. And then started my own business, 360 Management Services, which is a company where we do keynote speaking, leadership training, and I would say process improvement types in consulting. So over 40 years of business experience.
Awesome. Great to have you on.
Well, thanks. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm getting nervous though, and I got 9 minutes here. So.
We'll be quick. So
uh,
tell us, what is the best thing about being in business?
I think it's the ability to create the vision that you're trying to accomplish as an entrepreneur. I think there's advantages of being in a large corporation, as you can imagine, and there's also disadvantages in a large corporation. I think when you're, the thing I learned when we purchased mailboxes, et cetera, and I got a chance to meet those over 3,000 entrepreneurs. There's nothing more impressive than an entrepreneur who's all in, slides
Mm.
everything across the table, and says, I'm all in. It takes their life savings and starts their business. And I have such great respect for that, for those individuals. And so for me, that's the ultimate all in. I think those entrepreneurs are really kind of embody that spirit of, ownership and being all in. So for me, that's what I enjoy the most. I'm in, and I think I enjoy the opportunity to create the vision.
I love that. So I hear from other creative business owners that they avoid money matters like the plague. Tell me your thoughts.
What exactly do you mean by money matters?
I hear it range from anything from I am not opening my business mail because it's too intimidating.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes it's I know I have a cash flow issue, but I'm not dealing with it. I'm just focusing on everything else. Sort of just avoiding money in the business altogether sometimes.
Well, I can understand why you would want to do that. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, and what I said before, that entrepreneurs are the ultimate all-in individuals. And if you think about that, unlike in a large organization, at the end of the day, you hit the cash register and the store opens and you pay your people, pay your vendors, and what's left in the cash register is what you bring home for your family. So unfortunately, those money matters are important. I would take it from this perspective. The system produces what the system will produce. So if you have a very good business process in place and you have the right, I would say, balance scorecard elements, leading indicators of success, well, then it's reasonable to say, I can focus on, maybe driving sales. I can focus in retention of new employees. I can focus on retention of our customers because I have the right processes in place. The old if then go to. If I do these things, it's reasonable that I'm going to get to a profitable place. So I think that to me is because if you do get too caught up in the money side of it, well, then you're really taking your eye off of your customers, your people, your shareholder stakeholders.
I love that. That's a very good point. I believe that if any business focuses too much on the money, everything else begins to pull away. Very important takeaway there.
Well, don't you think? I've always believed that profit is the result of an excellent business process and your ability to kind of, great book out there by Ken Blanchard, create raving fans. And
Absolutely.
so if you're creating raving fans of your business and you're priced properly, then profit is the result of you doing the right things.
Absolutely. So, what other creative, successful business owners like yourself should be on my podcast?
Well, I think there's some good ones out there. There's a gentleman by the name of Dennis Snow who wrote the book Lessons from a Mouse from his time at Disney. Excellent book. Of course, I'm on here now with you. I'm honored to be here with you as well. I think Tim Davis runs the UPS Store Network, does an outstanding job. So there's quite a few good folks out there that I think could be inspirational, as well as I think create those aha moments. I think that's the significance of a podcast like this. Or when I do a keynote speech, for me, it's, did I create an aha moment? Do people walk away with that tilt of the head and thinking, okay, there's some things here that I may be able to use in my daily business? I mean, there's a lot of great keynote speakers that give you great stories. I'll give you great stories. I'll make you laugh. But more importantly, you have to create that aha moment because you're making that sacrifice of being away from your family, being away from your business. And so while those are, maybe you need a little bit of time away and maybe nice to get to a nice, conference, at the end of the day, you're sitting there thinking, what can I take away? And what are the things that are going to help me improve myself, maybe personally as a business person or my business?
I love that. So, what is the one piece of wisdom or advice that other creative business owners should know?
I would say that as you're embarking on whether it's your professional career or whether it's a new business that you're starting, I think it's important for you to take inventory and ask yourself three questions and answer them truthfully and honestly within the confines of your own heart and conscience. The first is, who am I? What do I stand for is number two. And I think those two are somewhat easier to answer than number three that we'll get to quickly in a second. But if you think about number one, okay, well, who am I as a business? And if you think about large corporations, you can run around the corporation and in every cafeteria, you got value statements, mission statements, and those are all important. And so as a small business owner, and even in your life as you beginning your career, who am I? What do I stand for? But number three is the most important question you have to ask her, and that is, what are the things I won't compromise? And those are the things you'll get challenged on. If you think about large corporations that get themselves in trouble or small businesses that get themselves in trouble, I'm sure they can answer, who are we? We know who we are. We know what our products is. We have a value mission statement. What do we stand for? Well, we stand for this in our product. We stand for that in our, integrity, safety. The question is number three, what won't you compromise? And I think that's what's so important because you're going to get challenged on those things as time goes on.
I think that's probably the part of the challenge is that when you draw a line in the sand and you say, I'm not going to go past that, you really have to stick to your guns if it does get challenged.
Well, and I think that's the tough part, right? Because the minute that you make that bad decision, you break your brand promise not only to your people, but to your customers, but to yourself. And so that's what you're really creating. You're creating that personal brand as a company and that personal brand as a leader. And once that brand is challenged or once you violate your brand promise, it's very difficult to come back again. And I know there's, a lot of examples out there in business where great corporations that are over 100 years old with household names, well, as I said before, I'm sure they have value mission statements posted all over the place. But at the end of the day, when they compromise those things and when they went past that question of won't we compromise, it may take a generation to get that trust back in the marketplace.
Makes sense. So now, the most important question of the podcast. Какая ваша любимая музыка? Or in English, what's your favorite music?
My favorite music? I would say I'm a rock guy because I'm, my age. I'm in the '70s. Eagles is my favorite band. My
Awesome.
favorite song of all time is, I would say, American Pie by Don McLean. My favorite song. My top five would be Don McLean, American Pie, Hotel California. Absolutely love Hotel California. I love that one line. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. Sort of the
Yeah.
way, sort of the way life is, sort of the way it is as an entrepreneur, right? You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. I love Piano Man by Billy Joel. I would say, Funeral for a Friend, Elton John. Love listening to that. That's probably my top three or four, I guess I just went through. So yeah.
Well, thank you, Rocky, for being on. What's your website so people can find you?
So my website is www. It's the number three and the word 60, SIXTY, managementservices.com, 360 Management Services. So for us, when we started the business, we believed in this holistic view that you need to make sure that all constituents are represented. My book is called Tighten the Lug Nuts, Principles of Balanced Leadership. It's you can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Barnes and Noble. We're a 5-star Amazon book, and for each book sold, we donate $1 to the Jimmy Valvano Fund. Jimmy V was a legendary coach who passed away from cancer, and gave that tremendous speech of never give up. And so that's our way of giving back. We donate to the Jimmy V Foundation to find a cure. So if you buy the book, I think you'll get a great read. You'll have a great smile from the many stories that are in the book. But I think the nice part is that we're donating $1 back to find the cure.
I love that. I will include that in the show notes so the listeners can check it out. This is Olga Kirshenbaum with 9 Minutes of Creative Wisdom podcast, where creative business owners share their wisdom. Make sure you check out my blog at ragstorichesconsulting.com to get money insights you haven't heard before.